Hello and welcome to the Dairy Digest. I'm Dr. Jackie Borman. Today on the Purdue Dairy Digest, we're going to talk about the updated Dietary Guidelines for Americans that was recently released. Every 5 years, the USDA and Human Health Services released an update to the Dietary Guidelines for Americans. The update for 2020 to 2025 has been published, and today we will discuss the changes that have been made for the recommendations for dairy. First, they reported that almost 90% of Americans do not consume the recommended daily amount of dairy, and that daily recommendation is remaining at 3 servings per day. A serving of dairy is defined as low or non-fat milk, yogurt, or cheese. In this year's recommendation, dairy also includes fortified soy beverage, but does not include any nut beverages as they do not meet the nutrient specifications of dairy. Dairy products like cream and cream cheese are not included in dairy because they do not meet the calcium requirements. The guidelines are developed by a group of dietitians and nutritionists who have varying backgrounds and are required to come to some consensus for best nutritional advice. This year, the nutritional guidelines included recommendations for younger children than they have in the past, and therefore it needed to include expertise for this population as well. While the guidelines don't dictate what people actually consume, and human behavior ultimately decides what people are actually consuming regardless of what recommendations are out there. However, these recommendations are used by dietitians, nutritionists, physicians, and government agencies to make recommendations for what should be consumed. So what does this all mean? Well, it is still recommended that we consume 3 servings of dairy a day, and a majority of Americans still don't consume enough dairy. There has been no movement on recommending higher fat dairy products, even with evidence of the health benefits of dairy fat. There is likely to be very little movement on this issue as the majority of the population is overweight, and recommending higher fat, regardless of the potential health benefits, would not align with the overall goal of reducing caloric intake. Because of trying to promote all dairy, DMI and others may not take up this issue. For arguing that full-fat milk is superior and has health benefits. Therefore, it will likely be a long battle before dietary recommendations are changed to recommend higher fat dairy products. The equating dairy with fortified soy beverage is not new and provides those that are lactose intolerant with an alternative. We know in the dairy industry that fortified soy beverage and milk are not the same. They don't provide the same nutrients. But it is good news that other dairy alternatives are not being recommended as the nutrients they contain is truly not comparable to dairy. The recent dietary guidelines for Canada have not included dairy as a separate food group that's required and have instead indicated that dairy could be included as a protein source. That's not good news if other countries are going that direction. It feels like the dairy industry is having to play defense and continue to work on maintaining 3 servings per day of dairy instead of making progress on the health benefits of all dairy. If you are a subscriber to the podcast, can you do us a favor and rate us in iTunes? If you're not a subscriber, become one today, and you can listen to this podcast at your own time. Thank you.